this perimenopause or something else? And what does this look like if you also have PCOS? If you're confused by your body, your cycle's changing, your mood feels unpredictable, your sleep is off, or your libido's disappeared, you are not alone. This video will help you make sense of what's going on, especially if you've also been diagnosed with PCOS. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Melanie Deschatelet. I'm a naturopathic doctor that's been licensed in British Columbia, Canada since 2010. And in the last 14 plus years, I've worked with thousands of women navigating hormonal shifts with and also without PCOS. Women's health has always been a deep passion and focus for me. And I'm currently completing the Menopause Society practitioner exam. And this is really like a top tiered credential exam for people who have their prescription license and can prescribe hormone therapy of all stripes. So what's really cool is that this designation applies to OBGYNs, to naturopathic doctors with prescription rights, to nurse practitioners. And so if you are not in my jurisdiction and you want to work with someone with this level of focus and dedication to menopause care, definitely go to the Menopause Society to find a practitioner near you. So one of my deepest passions is supporting people with PCOS. And what I found is that the perimenopausal phase is one of the most kind of misunderstood and overlooked season in people's journey. So that's why I'm making this video. Has really exploded in kind of headlines and media, and yet people kind of are more aware of it, but also just as confused about it. Okay. So if you're feeling off and wondering if this is perimenopause, if this is PCOS or something else entirely, this video will help you decode your symptoms and get clarity, even if you're on birth control or don't have regular periods. I'm going to kind of walk you through the nuance of like what we should be kind of considering at that point. So let's get started. What is perimenopause and what does that actually mean? And so perimenopause equals the transition around menopause. So before and after. Menopause is a single day and it is your last menstrual period. The catch is we don't know it's your last menstrual period until 12 months have gone by after that last menstrual period. So it's something that gets retroactively diagnosed after 12 months have gone by. But menopause is a single day, it's that day. Postmenopause is everything after your last menstrual cycle. So when we say perimenopause, though, we're talking about all the change. We're talking about the change before, including the day of menopause, and that early postmenopausal phase. So the mini takeaway, most women are in perimenopause before they even realize it, and this phase can last years. So how do we try to get a handle of where you are on that journey? I have this visual here, so you can see at the bottom here, perimenopause includes all of this, but we have certain definitions here to help us through. And so early menopause transition is when you're starting to have cycle differences that are greater than 7 days for consecutive cycles. So this wasn't just like a one-off thing, but now your cycles are either 7 days short or 7 days longer, fairly regularly. That's the official early menopause transition definition. We move into late menopause transition when cycle intervals start to become greater than 60 days. Now we know we're getting closer. So cycle length is one of our key indicators. So this is a little bit tricky in people with PCOS who have a history of irregular cycles, or people who are using oral contraceptive pill or an IUD that might be masking some of those key factors. Then we have the final menstrual cycle, which is the day of menopause. And early postmenopause is the first 2 years after that last menstrual cycle. So what's happening over here? A lot of people think of this whole perimenopausal transition as like estrogen deficiency. But really what's happening in that early menopause transition is high and erratic estrogen, and sometimes ovulation that doesn't happen or doesn't happen very well. And so we don't get the same amount of progesterone. In postmenopause, because there's no more ovulation and eggs left, the ovaries are retired from that front. That's when the estrogen falls off, and we see the estrogen deficiency symptoms. But the common symptoms that we see are in perimenopause: irregular periods, mood swings, irritability and depression, hot flashes and night sweats, low libido, vaginal dryness or urinary urgency, insomnia, or broken sleep. So the mini takeaway here is that these symptoms often overlap with other conditions like thyroid issues, low iron, or even burnout. So you don't self-diagnose perimenopause without ruling other things out, especially if we're really blinded on your cycle length. So if you fall in that boat of being diagnosed with PCOS or being on a contraceptive that kind of blinds us to your cycle length, then yes, we're going to still listen to those symptoms, but we're going to have to be extra cautious. Okay. If you're someone who has your natural cycle length and all of this tees up perfectly with the timing, then we're feeling even more confident. So why is this tricky with PCOS? So PCOS already includes people that have irregular cycles. So you can't always track the perimenopausal kind of advancement based on your cycle length. So that being said, what's interesting and what we've noticed in the research is that for those people with PCOS that had trouble with cycle length, some of them start having a regular cycle for the first time in their late 30s or 40s. These cycles may even be fertile. So don't assume you can't get pregnant, even if you had trouble conceiving. If you're on the birth control or have an IUD, you won't see the cycle clues. So we do have to rely more on symptoms and your own body awareness and triangulate that again with other things that can cause those symptoms. But you might be wondering and sitting here and being like, you know what, my cycle length is still quite regular and I feel like I have those perimenopausal symptoms. And the Department of ChemCore at UBC has a more progressive definition of perimenopause than what is consensus. And that is because we know that hormonal changes and symptoms often begin before any shifts in cycle length. I adopt this kind of mindset because if your symptoms are showing up and your periods haven't changed, but it is affecting your quality of life, you still deserve support. And so we just call this like really early perimenopausal symptoms. So what can you do to track and what to do if you're not on hormonal contraception? Well, track your cycle length. That does give us a clue. Early transition, cycle changes by 7 or more days fairly regularly. The late menopausal transition equals periods that are missing for 60 or more days. Menopause is a single day, represents your last menstrual cycle. The catch is we won't be able to confirm it was your last menstrual cycle until 12 months have gone with no bleeding. And if you're on the birth control pill, track your symptoms instead, and you're going to have a more nuanced conversation with your healthcare provider. Are there new hot flashes, sleep changes, emotional shifts, libido or vaginal dryness? We have to also be more mindful to rule out other causes like thyroid and iron. But we're not going to ignore the patterns just because your cycle length hasn't changed yet, because I care about you. And one thing the research is clear: when women start having perimenopausal symptoms, it impacts their quality of life. It impacts sometimes their ability to work and their relationships. So it is a big deal. And we have tools that help people feel better. And so don't wait until your period cycle starts to change if you are suffering now. So anyhow, moving forward, if you identify as having PCOS or the community is open, or if you're someone who cares for someone with PCOS, I invite you to join the PCOS Shift Society. It is my membership space where we support your IQ, your understanding of your body, your hormones, your health, and also your mindset, because it has a lot to do with changing and improving your mindset to do the things you already know help you. It is a place for accountability and also the secret sauce of community. So join the PCOS Shift Collective to join this special place. And for those of you who don't relate with PCOS, but you are interested on one-on-one clinical support, I can provide one-on-one clinical support specifically with the menopausal transition and perimenopause, but this is for BC residents only. So if you're a resident of British Columbia, Canada, I'd love to work with you one-on-one. And if you check my bio, you will see links to my private practice where we can tackle this together. Okay, have a great one. I'll see you later.